Drinking, dancing, drugs, and sex. Sounds like an R-rated movie. Well, it's not. It is Spring Break 98.
And believe it or not, Michigan high schoolers are in the thick of it.
Fox 2 problem solver Katie Trexler went south of the border to uncover the spring break your teenagers may not want you to know about. Katie.
Monica and Huel, I'm about to take you to Cancun, Mexico, where the beaches are beautiful and the sun is warm. But that's not the only reason hundreds of Michigan teens wanted to spend spring break there. It is a party with no rules. And my photographer and I took a home video camera like this one to catch all the action. Spring break, Cancun style. Nudity, sex, and unlimited alcohol. A never-ending party for Michigan high school kids. Take a look. This is supposed to be a bikini contest, but as you can see, the bikini doesn't always have much to do with the competition. One girl flashes the crowd. And in case you can't tell, those three others are erotically dancing over a young man who's lying on a beach chair. My Fox 2 photographer and I mingled with the crowd and caught all the action with a home video camera. We found that on spring break in Cancun, almost anything goes. For most of these kids who still live with their parents, this is their chance to live out the wild parties that until now they've only watched on MTV.
I'm Eric from Sterling Heights, Michigan.
This was Easter Sunday afternoon, and while their families were eating brunch, these teens were munching on bananas.
The sexy banana eating contest.
The object of this contest, to eat the fruit in the sexiest way possible. Take a look. We can't even show it all, but it is quite the attraction for these high school kids. I caught up with a Michigan girl who you saw earlier, taking off her top in that bikini contest. Listen to what she has to say.
Why did you want to do that?
Number one, I'm quite intoxicated. You know, pina coladas, the beer, you know, it's all good. Number two, it's spring break, you only live once, you gotta live it up, right?
Living it up doesn't necessarily mean taking off your clothes, at least not to all these kids. I saw a lot of them happy to work on their tans, hang out with friends, and swim in the ocean. But when I asked why come to Cancun, most Michigan teens said the same thing.
Because it's beautiful, because we can drink.
And drink they do.
You get drunk in the day, sober up, take a shower, get drunk at night.
Teenagers pack Cancun bars and clubs. It's a freedom they don't have at home in Michigan, but they can drink here, no questions asked.
The legal drinking age in Mexico is 18 years old, but once you weave your way through these lines, you won't find any bouncers checking IDs at the door. That's because locals tell us for Americans, there are no rules.
No rules and no parents!
And the locals in Cancun help to keep the party going. Take a look at this guy, pouring shots of alcohol down throats. Girls on the dance floor are drenched with booze all over their bodies. I never saw anyone checking IDs in these clubs. And again, these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old. As the drinks flow, the inhibitions are washed away. Watch this. It goes way beyond dirty dancing. Boys and girls not shy about making out in front of everyone. And check out this game of I'll show you mine if you show me yours. He lifts up his shirt. She lifts up hers. Some of these kids just got their driver's license. Others aren't even old enough to vote. And most have never had such unbridled access to this kind of partying. We saw a lot of this. Kids so drunk they could barely stand up. And take a look at this guy. We found him passed out outside a bar. He appears to be so drunk, his body is convulsing to get it out of his system. If kids want more than alcohol, they can get it.
I've been offered drugs wherever I go.
My Fox 2 photographer took an undercover camera to the streets of Cancun when we heard that local shop owners were offering to sell young people marijuana. Now watch what happens. In one shop, she lifts up a pipe for sale, and sure enough, the worker tries to sell her drugs for it.
You want something to put it?
What do you have?
Just wait.
Easy drugs, underage drinking, and public nudity. And yet, I saw little, if any, police presence in these areas where the teens were hanging out. With all the partying going on, there are bound to be problems. I found that Cancun emergency rooms are seeing their fair share of kids, like this Livingston County girl who got drunk, fell off the bar where she was dancing, and smashed her face. I did find plenty of kids who were not getting in trouble or out of control.
Last night I didn't have one beer. I didn't even have an alcoholic beverage. I just hung out with my friends. It was great. On the other hand, some of us though did have more than one beer and had a great time.
And for those who do get wild,
Do you think that they'll look back and go, I can't believe I did that?
Oh, I'm sure they will, but they'll laugh.
The first day we were here, the first day on the bus to our hotel, what happens in Cancun stays in Cancun.
But there are some things about Cancun that should not be kept a secret. The dangers lurking in that tropical paradise. Tomorrow night, see what can happen when teens have no limits. It is scary, and it's something you won't want to miss. Monica and Huel, back to you.
Katie,
Eye-opening.
I thought it was wild down there, but I had no idea. Amazing. Thanks, Katie.
Spring break is supposed to be the ultimate vacation for students and their friends, but sometimes the fun turns into disaster.
Tonight we continue our undercover report on the Michigan high school students who went to Cancun, Mexico for Spring Break '98. Fox 2 problem solver Katie Trexler joins us now with more on the dangers in paradise. Katie.
Monica and Huel, as I first told you last night, Cancun was the place for hundreds of Michigan high school students on spring break. And armed with a home video camera like this, my photographer and I saw fun in the sun turn into something much more frightening.
the beaches of Cancun are a tropical paradise, lots of fun in the sun. But you will see these black flags warning people not to go in the water. Too bad the Michigan teenagers on spring break don't get warning signs for other dangers lurking in Cancun. For many of these high school students who still live at home with their parents, most problems start with drinking.
Okay, now you need to drink some tequila. Come here.
Alcohol is cheap and flows freely. I noticed that the legal drinking age of 18 is essentially ignored.
Special prices for all the spring breakers.
I never saw anyone checking these high school students' IDs. Not on the beach, not in the bars.
But when you had a lot of alcohol with teens who have no inhibitions and no rules, it undoubtedly becomes a recipe for problems.
Look at this teenage boy, passed out from drinking. Watch how his body convulses. Then he gets sick. Doctors tell me this kid probably has alcohol poisoning. This is dangerous. It could put him into a coma or even kill him. I showed the boy to a bouncer outside the bar, and he said it was no big deal. He sees kids this drunk all the time. Doctors in Cancun tell me they do too. This doctor says he treats a lot of spring breakers who get hurt while partying.
Cuts in their face or broken nose or broken machine.
My photographer and I found these Livingston County high school seniors at the local emergency room. One of their girlfriends was drunk and dancing on top of a bar when she fell and smashed her face.
The bartenders picked her up and she was just bleeding all over.
That landed her here, a hospital in a foreign country where doctors speak little English and there's no guarantee the facilities are clean or safe. The girl was okay, but her friends had to foot the $400 hospital bill.
The party's not even fun anymore. The party feels more like babysitting. It feels like you're babysitting your friends to make sure that they are safe.
And girls are protecting their friends from sexual dangers too. Watch these teens dirty dancing. Some kids make out in the crowd. A few girls even take off their tops. It's an atmosphere where girls 16, 17, 18 years old become vulnerable.
You want to be out having fun, but then when you go out, you just have to be careful because a lot of girls do get taken advantage of.
One group of Michigan teens told me they are afraid drugs like the date rape pill could be slipped into their drinks. They told me it happened to one girl staying in their hotel.
She ordered a daiquiri, and when she didn't know that they did anything, but that night she was all passed out.
She was sleeping for like 2 days straight.
Mysterious drugs can end up in drinks, but drugs are also on the streets of Cancun.
I've been offered drugs wherever I go.
Just how easy is it for young people to get drugs? Watch this. My Fox 2 photographer Patty Laren takes an undercover camera into a souvenir shop. When she picks up a pipe for sale, the worker tries to sell her marijuana for it.
You want something to put in?
Getting caught with drugs can mean big trouble with Mexican authorities. I went to work to find out what could happen. The Mexican consulate tells me an American teen would go to jail and stay there. In that country, you are guilty until proven innocent. For the 3 nights I was in Cancun, I didn't see many police officers around, and some kids could have used their protection. Remember the group of Michigan teens stranded at the emergency room? Well, that wasn't their only problem. A gang of locals jumped one boy outside of a bar. They were after his hotel ID band. It's his ticket to food and drinks, and it's worth $100.
Once he started tearing off my band, I pushed the guy. One guy pushed him. 4 of them started coming out and started beating the out of me.
Crime, drugs, out-of-control partying, dangers most of these kids didn't expect to find in Cancun, and many say they can do without.
At first when I came here, I thought that it was going to be, if you're smart, you're going to do fine. When you mix alcohol, sex, friendship, and strangers all together, it doesn't work out.
Now, many of the kids told me they enjoy all the freedom they have in Cancun, but it really can be a lot of responsibility for 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. Tomorrow night at 10, hear the reaction from some parents who saw it all in Cancun. For now, Monica and Huel, back to you.
Boy, I bet they were surprised.
Sobering lesson for parents and their kids.
Thanks, Katie.
Now, when you think of high schoolers on spring break, what visions come to your mind? Well, it used to be a family trip to Disney World, but now it is partying on the beach in Cancun, Mexico.
That's the way hundreds of Michigan teens spent their vacation, alone in a foreign country, no parents, no rules.
Fox 2 problem solver Katie Trexler was there. She joins us now with the spring break stories most kids would never dream about writing home.
Huel and Monica, it is not a surprise that high school students were looking for fun on spring break. I saw most Michigan teens doing just that, but I also saw how quickly their good time turned bad and how shocked some parents were to see it all. My photographer and I caught it all on camera.
What happens in Cancun stays in Cancun.
It's drinking, partying with friends, and really letting loose.
Despite the craziness, the pandemonium, many local hotels and bars welcome spring breakers. In fact, they even encourage the wild behavior.
And there are no parents around to say no.
No rules and no parents!
The legal drinking age, 18, but not once did I see anyone card these kids, some 16 and 17 years old. Instead, alcohol is pushed, morning, noon, and night. And even though these kids are still in high school, much of their behavior looks sexual, risque, even lewd. Look at this, young girls strip on stage. And watch this sexy banana eating contest.
You need to put it anywhere you want on this body and eat it the sexiest way you can.
We can't even show it all.
Neighbor from Detroit, Michigan!
But it's all part of the spring break experience. I asked one girl why she bared all in front of the crowd.
When you get old, no one wants to look at that. You know, you're just like old and it's wrong.
Very
You gotta party while you can.
Anything you'd get caught dead doing?
Nothing like that. No.
Let me ask you this. Would your parents freak out if they knew what you guys
No,
were
they know
doing?
exactly. I told them what I'm doing. My mom would shoot me.
I ran into this mom and dad. They brought their teenage girls to Cancun. The whole family went to a bar where hundreds of kids were drinking, and this girl took off her top in front of everyone.
The whole situation, the whole atmosphere, you know, it was something that I know now I don't want my daughters going down there. They're in high school without me.
I don't want her taking her shirt off.
It's a tempting atmosphere, raging hormones, temptations that can create dangers. Some Michigan girls told me their fears about having a date rape pill slipped into their drinks.
It's really scary, but we just watch really carefully and watch them make our drinks.
I saw a lot of teens so drunk they could barely stand up. Others, well beyond that point, passed out or getting sick.
When I first got here, I drank a lot of tequila, and I was sick for like 2 days.
Other teens paid a higher price for their partying. This Livingston County girl ended up in a Cancun emergency room. Her friends say she was drunk and dancing on the bar when she fell and smashed her face. For some reason, many of these kids say no matter how disturbing, embarrassing, or unbelievable, making memories is what spring break in Cancun is all about.
We found out like there's 20 other people on the bus that are from Michigan. We start singing like Hail to the Victors. We start going crazy.
And remember that Cancun motto.
What happens in Cancun stays in Cancun.
Considering what we uncovered, the dangers and extreme behavior, maybe it's best if the truth about Cancun doesn't stay there.
Now, since my stories have aired, I've gotten dozens and dozens of phone calls. One from a girl who exposed herself to the crowd. She was so embarrassed when she came back to Michigan, she asked me not to show her anymore, and I didn't. Now, other teens told me they wouldn't change their trip for the world. Our goal was to expose a potential problem here, and I really hope that this story will help kids or their parents make some important decisions in the future. Huel and Monica?
All right, Katie, don't you know that there are some conversations going on at home?
Well, you and I have young kids, and we know that our kids will not be going to Cancun.
They will not be
when
going
get
to
older.
Mexico without me.
Katie, our hats off to you and to photographer Patty Laren. You both did a great job down there.
Very good story.
Fox 2 News goes to work for your health next.